Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be a review of the MAC Nourishing Waterproof Foundation, and I know a lot of you have asked me to do a review of this. I've been using it for about 2 weeks now, and it's one of those products that I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. And the first time I used it I really liked it, but then my opinion changed, which is why I'm not really a fan of doing kind of first impression videos, because I tend to find that your first impression isn't always the correct impression. And I've been using it a while now, and I'm going to read you first what MAC claim this foundation does, and then I'll kind of talk you through what I think of it. So sorry if you can hear kind of wind outside, by the way, it is crazy windy today. MAC say a tenacious waterproof formula can be used as foundation or concealer, wearing for an unprecedented 24 hours. Neither rain nor tears can budge this oil-free product that actually repels moisture from the surface of the skin. The formula blends seamlessly on the skin with a medium to full coverage with a natural satin finish. And it retails for £25.50 on the MAC website, but I have seen the price kind of vary a little bit from place to place. So I have got it in NC30, which is probably a shade that would look like it's a little bit light for me if you saw it straight in the tube, but it does dry down darker. It kind of oxidizes a little bit, and once you've been wearing it for a while it definitely does have a little bit of a tendency to go orange, which I'm not really a fan of. But this appealed to me because I thought the kind of waterproof thing meant it would be really long lasting. Living in the UK, obviously it's always raining, so I thought that would be kind of quite a good way of having your foundation last. But I suppose what I didn't really think of properly was that a waterproof foundation doesn't necessarily mean that it repels oil, and I've got oily skin, and this doesn't kind of work very well in terms of keeping you matte, which is something that I think a lot of people look for in a foundation. If you do have oily skin, you want something to keep you matte. This doesn't really do the job in that scenario. It's not necessarily the type of product that's going to keep you from having to blot all day long. But I suppose that kind of comes with the fact that it's nourishing. It's supposed to kind of be nourishing, and I think it probably would be the type of product that would be better suited to a dry skin tone. But that being said, I've applied it in lots of different ways. I've applied it with my fingers, and that worked okay, but it's a very tacky foundation. In fact, I'm going to show you what the tube looks like. The packaging's nice, it's kind of very nice for travelling. Sorry, I'm not used to my new camera yet. It's very good for travelling. You can kind of just pop it in your makeup bag, not have to worry. But the formula is very, very tacky on the skin. It kind of takes a little while to set down. Definitely if you have oily skin, you have to set it with powder. I'm wearing it on my skin today, and if I just come a little bit closer, it does look very flawless, but it is the type of foundation that, when not applied carefully, can look extremely, extremely cakey, which is something that I hate. I find the places that tend to look the most cakey are kind of on your upper lip and here. I call them like my nose to mouth creases. They tend to make foundations look a little bit cakey as well, and I have worn it a couple of times and really not enjoyed it. Felt it looked really cakey, felt I looked really oily, just felt like my skin didn't look very nice. I've used it with a beauty blender as well, and that kind of didn't really give much coverage, and that's another thing that with this foundation, the coverage of it is interesting. I don't think you could build this up to a full coverage without it looking ridiculously cakey. So I would say it's a medium coverage, to the point where kind of you can still see freckles on your nose and that kind of thing, which I quite like on my nose. I would prefer it to have a little bit more coverage on my cheek area, but it won't deliver that kind of flawless coverage without looking made up. It is flawless, but you can still see a bit of skin peeping through, and it isn't 100% going to cover any redness or anything like that. So I kind of am disappointed with this, I have to admit. I think for £25.50, which is what the price of this is, it could have done with being a little bit better. Now, in terms of it being waterproof and all that kind of thing, it does repel water. I'm not going to kind of do the whole water test, because I'm sure there's kind of been loads and loads of videos that have already done that, and it doesn't necessarily, you know, when people splash water on your face, that's not something that's going to happen in your day-to-day real life anyway, so that's not something that I worry about too much. I just thought kind of if it rains or if you cried or that kind of thing, it doesn't budge. It does very much kind of repel water, and the water just sits on top of the foundation, which is really nice. But it's just not something that I felt really worked on my skin. Sorry, I've got like a hair or something here with a brush hair. It was driving me nuts. And I also think in terms of lasting 24 hours, if you've got oily skin, you're going to need to touch up a bunch of times. I have found with this that I have had to touch up more frequently than I usually do with my usual kind of foundations of choice. I've kind of had to touch up earlier in the day than I usually would, but that's okay. And also it would definitely benefit if you do have kind of quite noticeable pores from a pore perfecting primer, so something like the Benefit Professional or something like that to just smooth over your pores, because it definitely does sit into pores a little bit. So that's my review. I know it's not kind of the most positive review, and I have only seen positive reviews of this online. I used it today with a Sigma F80 Kabuki, and I do like how it looks. I'm just looking kind of in the viewfinder what it looks like. I like how it looks today better, but it's still not my favourite. I will continue to play around with it, but I was thinking that it's just not really for me. You get 25ml, which is a smaller amount than your average 30ml that you'd normally get with a foundation, so that's something to bear in mind as well. And I was kind of contemplating whether or not I should keep this. I'm not sure it's for me. I think it would probably be better suited to drier skin tones, but it can look a little bit cakey, so that is something to be wary of. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know if you've tried it. If you've got any tips and tricks on how to make it work and you really like it, then definitely let me know what you think, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!